Okay, we've come to the last session of the day. On a scale 1 to 10, how excited are you for the last session of the day? Let me see those hands on a scale 1 to 10. 10, 9, 100? Okay. So, our third panel, also an important topic with the theme of embracing change and technology for continuous business growth. So, without further ado, let's welcome Tom West, Director Juicebox Indonesia, as moderator.
Thank you. Thank you and good morning. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here with you this evening to host the third and final panel discussion. Thanks to Martin, Min, and the BV team for hosting us this morning. This morning's third session will be on the subject of embracing change and technology for continuous business growth. I would like to welcome our panelists to join me on the stage. First, we have Adamaski Pangaran, Chairman of IAP. Please, thank you. Good to see you. Thank you. Second, we have Aji Wibowo, founder of Max's Group. Next, we have Aloysius Stephen, VP of Business Development at Bank Sinarmas. And finally, we have Arya Satyadharma, CEO of PT Prasetya Dwi Dharma. All right, and thank you all for your kind attention, and thanks for joining us today, gentlemen. Again, the subject of today's panel session is embracing change and technology for continuous business growth. A couple words to highlight there, change and technology. Maybe I'll just kind of set the scene a little bit before we go into our panel discussion. You wouldn't normally think of, say, sharp sticks as technology. We tend to think of technology as something that's new and kind of can have an impact or move the needle. But 100,000 years ago, if you had the sharp sticks, maybe you had a competitive advantage over your competition, if in the case of a conflict, for example. And then it was who could master bronze and who could master iron, who could master steel, who could master uranium. And the other thing being change. 2.5 millennia ago, Heraclitus said the only constant is change. And it's a testament to, for example, Patinoka's testimony here through the change he's seen through his life, just the adaptability of human beings in the face of change. So on the subject of change and technology for continuous business growth, obviously, the first panel touched on generative AI. That probably will feature in this conversation, I assume. But I'm curious maybe, and again, as we discussed in our call yesterday, I won't try to address questions to any specific person. Just hold your hand up and we can allow everybody to weigh in with their valuable contributions. As business leaders, I'll first say, or perhaps pose the question, how do you identify when it's time to embrace a certain new technology in order to solve a business problem? What are the conditions in which you'd say, you know what, it's time to really act and implement some new technology? Maybe Aloy, if you want to volunteer for that one first, given your academic interest in strategic management, you can help us out with that. Thanks.
All right. Thanks a lot, Tom. for me for choosing the first one, and thanks again for Martin for allowing me for this opportunity, because like this is my first time as a panelist, so it's a bit nerve-wracking. Yeah, to answer the first question, right, when is the first time? I think if you guys already now, how many of you change phone every like 2 years, 3 years? Raise hands. How many of you like change phone every like 1 year? Right? Oh, nobody. So like some of this is change phone every like 2 or 3 years, right? So we change something because like we feel that the phone is getting like slower, the phone is getting like bulkier, the phone is not sharp enough, right? So that is the time when you need to feel to change something, right? I think the same analogy also applies when it comes to company, right? There are like two factors. The first one is internal. The second one is external. So for the internal, I guess like there are two factors. The first one is when the employee is, the KPI is getting like steady, it's not going where everyone is not excited enough to work anymore. And then the second one is when the KPI of the overall organizations is like plateauing. For instance, like the revenue is not going where, the profitability is like getting loss every year, right? That is the time when the change, especially embracing technologies, is needed, right? And then on the second part is on the external factor. The thing is also important is I divide it into two. The first one is when the customers are complaining about your product. When the customers is not happy, and they feel like, oh, you're getting very slow, you're not innovative enough, right? And then second part is when the competitors is already moved far beyond, right? Your competitors is like moving far beyond and embracing technology, and you're not doing anything, meaning that you will lag behind. So those two factors is I guess is the important things when you should enacting change in organizations. I think that's my take on when you should embrace technology.
Okay, thank you very much. And would anyone else like to maybe provide some more insights into that, perhaps even in the context of your own business, how you make those decisions for technology?
First, I need to say thank you so much for Martin to invite me and us as panelists. And thank you so much also for all the senior panelists, Mr. Herwan and Mr. Nuke. And of course, especially like all the BVT group. Thank you so much. So regarding for your question about like when the indicated company starting for how the technology is like and helping us to grow our business, something like that. So I think it's like to running the business, I think all the business owner like us is like, it's quite challenging, It's very struggling actually as a business owner. I like to say like I'm 38 years old here. I'm running my own business 17 years, and then it's so struggling from the beginning, It's like, I can tell like we need like a good technology to helping us to grow our businesses getting more better. So it's mean like indication for we need the technology is very important, because the thing is like, I was thinking like when we get the first information at the beginning, when the people have the first information and then first technology, will become the winner in any kind of the business activity. So this is the most important part, So the point is like, as a business owner, we need to aware, and then we need to be always think differently, and then always think about the technology is like the most important thing for better management, something like that. Thank you.
Okay, as a consultant, who work closely with the government, because I'm the chairman of the Indonesian Association of Urban Planners, so we work closely with the government to conduct spatial plan, to conduct the detailed spatial plan, RDTR, RTRW, and etc. We currently need, very need to adopt a new technology because after the issuance of the new regulation, Undang-Undang Cipta Kerja, Job Creation Law, which is the spatial planning plan has vital position to attract investment. Then the spatial plan has a very, very strategic position, and we should make spatial planning very fast, yeah. So the adoption of technology, we need to get to collect data, to analyze this data, to integrate data is very, very important for us as a consultant to the government. But however, there is still the bureaucracy barrier, yeah, bureaucracy barrier for the government because apa namanya, the government is still is still slow to adopt a new technology. It's a challenge for us as a consultant to tell them about the new technology, especially in geospatial technology.
So I agree with Pak Haji, right? Pak Haji, that I think it starts from the top, right? From the top management. It's really about the mindset. Technology is not something that easy to understand, and technology creates another problem. For example, let's say right now we use WhatsApp for our businesses. Oh, you have WhatsApp group for this, WhatsApp group for that. We call WhatsApp instant messaging, right? But then when we talk about something in the group and no one replies, we complain, right? Because our expectation is instant messaging. But when we do business, our life doesn't revolve on this only, right? We have to do business, we have to do meetings, we have to meet people, but the expectation is that this is instant. So that's also another problem. So when we adopt technology, sometimes it creates more problems. And I think it really starts from the top management, from the founder, from the executive, the business leaders, that we have to embrace change. Because I think change management in any organization is the biggest problem. We like to be comfortable. We don't like to change. You know, when we are told to change our behavior, we always resist that. We are afraid of change. And I think it starts from the top, because if the top management don't want to improve, doesn't have that continuous improvement mentality, I think it's going to be a problem. Because usually when you do digitalization, it really starts from the top, and it's a top-down approach. I think Martin mentioned that as well, that it might be easier to do business somewhere else because the top-down approach is really working, whereby maybe in Indonesia we have so many territories, we have so many regional offices that don't have that mentality, that cannot be enforced. The top-down cannot be enforced, and I think that could be the problem with the digitization. And it's really about the mentality of being open to new technology, to new mindset, and technology can be learned. But if you're not willing to learn, then it's a waste.
Thank you very much. The question that follows on naturally from that is, how does a company communicate internally with regard to its technology adoption posture? And by that, I mean, do you believe that it is the position of management to tell certain teams to go and find certain new technologies? Do you socialize it across the company where everyone should always have their eyes open? Is management receptive to ideas about process evolution or new technologies? How would you feel would be a management best practice when it comes to internal communications regarding the adoption of technology?
Thank you, Tom. So basically, like, was thinking as a business owner, like for all the management, especially for the marketing and sales, they need like something good technology for improve their work to get like more better promotion, more better communication, more better service to give to the customer, you know? Because for all the technology we have, by the end, this is to improve value for the company, and then also to improve our sales. And by the end also, like we can say, like we're talking about the result, you know, we use the good technology, and then of course we expect that we can get the good performer for the team, and also all the marketing and especially team sales can achieve the target because of support of the technology.
Sure. Tess. I think there's interesting questions here, where, you know, the best practice of where the technology should be implemented. I do agree with Pak Arya that, you know, everything, especially regarding the digital transformation, should start from the top, meaning that you have to have a clear why we need to, you know, embrace the kind of technology. But regarding your questions, the idea itself on where the technology is coming from, I think it's can be coming from, you know, any level throughout the organization based on my observations. This can come from the bottom level, it can come from the mid level, or it can come from the higher levels. For examples is, I think in my experience, because like previously I worked in a holding financial service in Sinarmas, and we manage several business units from banking, multi-finances, insurance, right? But right now, I think I moved as a full-time in Bank Sinarmas, so it's been just like 30 days. But again, with my team, there are several ideas that I would like to, you know, emphasize starting to use. There are three. The first one is regarding the how we manage a project, right? Because like previously, there is no such a thing to manage the project, so you don't know where the project's at, who your project is gonna assign to, and when is the deadline, right? And I encourage the team to use one of the project management tools called Asana. So it's easier for us to, you know, track all the projects into one, and, you know, have seamless collaborations. The second one is obviously, as you mentioned, Tom, the generative AI. I think generative AI, nobody is still using in the, you know, organizations currently. But again, I encourage the team to use the generative AI, especially because, you know, as the Gemini Advanced is, they're offering like free trial for 2 months, right? So why not we use it, right? So the difference between the normal Gemini and the Gemini Advanced is you can synthesize ideas more thoroughly. For instance, like if you have like 2 or 3 documents, and each document consists of like 30 or 40 pages, it will take lots of time, right, to you know, digest all through information. So by using the Gemini AI, you can, you know, just drag and drop all the PDF or data into one, and, you know, synthesize all the information. So it's easier for you, especially for instance, like developing like standard operating procedures, right, to developing a policy within an organization. So by using generative AI, the thing that will take like, say, 2 days, 3 days to, you know, developing the idea, it will shorten up to, say, for instance, like 40 or until like 60 minutes, right? And then the third one is regarding the data visualizations. So I guess like previously when we are presenting something to the mid and then director level, some of the division is still using you know, Excel, right? Nothing wrong with Excel, but again, if you want to present to director, if you want to present to the higher level, if you just use a table kind of format, it's easier. It's hard for them intuitively sensing, for instance, like whether the sales is going up, whether the cost is going down, whether the magnitude of sales is going up. So by using data visualization tools, for instance, like Power BI, it's easier for them, especially the director level, to make more, you know, better decisions. So I guess back to my first point, the mentality should come from the top, but the idea can come from, you know, every level throughout the organizations. I think that's my take on second questions.
Yeah, what I may add is that I think, like I said, it starts from the top, right, leadership. But then I think leadership has to create culture as well. So listening to Pak Noke, that's what I did as well. I told my team during the weekly meeting when ChatGPT was just out last year, early last year. I asked the team, who knows about ChatGPT? And no one raised their hand. So I showed them, I recorded the ChatGPT and I showed them, this is what you can do. And I just let them digest that. And then in 2 weeks, I asked the question again, who have tried ChatGPT? About half of my team already tried. And then I asked, like, why not every one of you? You know, why? I've already told you about this technology, this new technology. Why haven't you tried it? So I think as a leader, we need to push the culture of exploring something new. And when you found out a new technology, be curious about it. But it's hard, right? Because even though I've shown them how great it is, they haven't tried. And it's free, I mean, it's free, right? So why don't you try it? So I think it starts from the top. The culture has to push for innovation, push for curiosity. And I implemented in my HR, basically, when we promote someone, before they're promoted, they have to do an improvement, process improvement. And then they have to show what are they trying to improve process-wise, what tools are they going to use. So you create that improvement culture, continuous improvement. And sometimes when we see that they can use some tools that we haven't told them before, we promote them to across another department, because then we can see that he has the ability to think outside the box, to find something new. So I think that kind of culture is needed before you ask them to be proactive. We need to push from the top as well, that kind of culture.
Okay, great. That's super handy. We'll go ahead and pass over to Pak Ada.
Yeah, from my experience, the biggest challenge to adopt a new technology when work with the government is about the data integration and data sharing. Yeah. For example, in the property sector, every agency has their own tools, has their own data, yeah, which is different with the other agency. Like in the tax agency has different data with the agency who issue permit buildings, and also has a different data from the agency who issue the location permit. Yeah. So the problem is about the integration and also about the data sharing from the government. So the adoption technology in the platform, yeah, platform that can use and can be easier to use by every agency is very important thing. This is from my.
Okay, thank you very much for those thoughts. I'd like to shift gears a little bit. We have heard already an example anecdotally from Aloy about if could have been a 2 or 3 day long project that shifts to 40 to 60 minutes. Arya mentioned as well about process improvements. All these productivity improvements are great for the bottom line, but as the first panel discussed, upskilling is important. We have a job creation law now. How are we able to realize all of these productivity gains and still maintain employment? How do you feel about the ethics around that? Anyone want to jump on that? That's a no?
Well, I think as business leaders, it's tough, right? When we say it's a efficiency, that solution is efficiency tools, but what we want to project is productivity. If you can be more productive, then as a company, you might not need to hire more, but you can be more productive, you can generate more revenue, generate more sales. And for example, let's say salespeople, if they don't use any CRM, how do they analyze whether they have enough leads, they have enough potential sales, right? So they need some tools. They need to be more productive. They need to be able to do their job without thinking about, do I have enough leads or not? So I think that process of being more productive is something that as business leaders we need to encourage our people to think like that. It's not about trying to cut costs in terms of employees.
Okay, so I think it's like when we use this technology, of course we find a good technology for involved in our business. This is number one, it's like we can be more competitive, of course. And then also like if we get the first information which is more faster to adapt it with the, another competitor. And then also like this will be great if all the business owner thinking about first the budget is not about the promotion, but it's budget about the improve for the technology.
Okay.
Yeah, for us, yeah, is create more efficiency for us, yeah, to conduct, to create the spatial plan more faster and more credible. That's it.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
If you like.
Actually, just to understand the questions better, can you reframe the questions? Whether so what by
Yeah, sure. So I would say that sales leads are not bottomless. So there's not an unlimited tidal wave of work that's going to come into every business. As workers become more and more productive through the use of technology, that maybe means that we don't need quite as many. So that I was just curious about thoughts around, how do we upskill our workers fast enough so that we can maintain in productivity and perhaps reach out into new areas of business and still keep people gainfully employed.
Right. So I guess to answer on these questions, I think it's important for the employee to first, embracing the kind of technologies, right? For instance, like when I try to, emphasize my team that is the importance to use the Gemini to speed up the, say, when you're building the SOPs kind of stuff, right? But the other thing is that also important is how you develop kind of like critical thinking towards the, the technology that you currently use, because, everything that is, generated by the generative AI is not like 100% correct. So I think it's also important if you emphasize the importance of having critical thinking when you use any kind of technology. Yep.
Great, thank you very much. It's important to remember that 200 years ago, almost everyone was a farmer. And now here we are in a city of millions and millions of people, and everyone is focused on different things. And perhaps the coming age of AI is just another shift of that nature where humans will find other things to do. I'd like to change gears again and maybe just pose to you guys, or you could share some examples from your own work when you've had problems integrating new technologies, whether it's resistance to change is hard for people, whether it's siloed information or any other issues that you've kind of uncovered in your careers with the integration of new technology systems.
One time I tried to create a KPI dashboard that connects, that integrates with my ERP system. But then not all data are available. So some data are not objective, it's a bit subjective. So some of the KPI data needs to be inputted. Right? Someone needs to input the data that will analyze, that will give a score for another department. So, but when I tried to implement that, because it was rather new and you need extra effort, it was tough in the beginning. Because basically you're telling your people, your team, to add more stuff on their job description, to add, basically to input more data, basic extra effort for them. So I think when we implement technology, but the cost benefit for the employees are not clear, it's tough. The cost might be extra effort for them, but what's the benefit for them? So I think whenever we implement new technologies, or just as a company, cost benefit is really important. Whenever you do that, it needs to be clear that you do this, the benefit is this. The benefit might not be money, the benefit might be less work. You know, if you do this, maybe less work for you. So I think when we implement digitalization, the cost benefit for anyone, for all the stakeholders, needs to be clear, from the top to the bottom. Maybe it's extra effort for them, but maybe it will turn to be more profit for the company, so more bonus for the employees. I think that message needs to be communicated very clear from the top, that the cost benefit for every stakeholder might be different, but everyone has a benefit of doing it.
Great, thank you.
Yep. You want to start first? Yeah, I guess I have a concrete example on this, right? Previously, when I worked in holding financial service, right? At the time we worked together with one of the top leading consultant, is a MBB firm, and then what we did is we tried to enact some of the sort of like project management tools to ensure that the business unit can be have a better revenue, have a bit better profitability, becoming customer-centric, right? And what the tools did is we inventorizing all the initiative to ensure that the revenue can picking up, the cost can be streamlined, right? But at that time there is a resistance on the business unit itself to implement that, because in the holding we have this kind of tools, right? But in the business unit, they also have the same kind of tools to manage their own project. So why the hell I have to use like two kind of tools to track the same things, right? So to answer that kind of challenge, I have several things that we did it with the consultant. First one is we have to clear why, right? Why you have tracking in the different tools, right? The first one is to liaise the overall view of the, all the financial service, but your tools itself just to analyze the business itself. So it's kind of like different tools. So we explain to them why you need to use those kind of different tools. The second one is we need to understand who will be affected, right, with these tools, right? Whether it's a mid-management, whether it's a top management. So you need to have a proper, stakeholder mapping. Who are they? How is they impacted? Whether they have influence with the business or not, right? So we need to engage them more actively, the one that will be impacted with this kind of technology. The third one is, I think, to turn this around is we having a clear reward incentive mechanisms and also integration with the KPI. So meaning if you have the same purpose, why we need to do what we do, right? So it's easier for them to finally use this kind of technology. And the fourth one is to have it in a phasing basis. So you cannot like implement something by boiling all the oceans, right? So meaning that you need to do in a phasing way. Pilots, for instance, like, oh, you studied from this division, you studied from that division. So by having a phasing kind of like structured, it's more easier for them to finally understand, oh, this is the result that we will benefit from using this kind of technology. So I guess the four answers is to answering how we, manage this challenge. I think that takes.
Yeah. Thank you, Tom, for that question. First, I want to say, like, I'm still farmer, but with a different way. Like, everyone is farmer with a different way, yeah? So in my company, it's called Max Group. Now we, when we mention about tools, we're trying to make the kind of new technology, which is like, we agree that most of the business owner right now, even they have like AI, even ChatGPT, any kind of technology, I think like still a lot of business owner, CEO and others like still using the traditional style, you know. So we agree with that. Like not everyone like, I mean, use ChatGPT. Probably the people stay in the city, Jakarta, Surabaya, kind of. So my point is like, we develop the kind of tools, which is like a kind of application. So some of our business, we have the property. So with that, we're trying to make that technology to a bit like when we have the foreign investor from overseas, and then they want to invest in Indonesia. Because now, like, I think everyone, for this generation, everyone just want safe and efficient, yeah? So we try to make the tools for the technology that the foreign investor, before they invest their money to Indonesia, they just like see in the application, and when with that application, they can see like in the exactly location with the size of the land without the exactly physically they come to Indonesia. So this is like just example, this is the tools what we now and create and develop for that. So like when the foreign investment come to Indonesia for looking for the kind of the opportunity, with that application, with that tools, they just using their mobile phone to check everything detailed, the location, the position, the certificate of the land, the size, the view, and everything just using for the apps. So this is, we are under development for that. And even the people can use VR to see the location. So just example, like people from US, when they want to buy the property in Jakarta or in Bali or something like that, without a flight 23 hours from US to Bali or US to Jakarta, they can see from the mobile phone using VR for the application. And so this is like kind of tools for make people easy to understand and saving the time for sure, and efficient of course. So that tools means like for this is very important to improve our business, to improve also to service to the customer, potential customer, to engage that they're okay with that product.
Great. Okay, thank you for sharing that. I think just in the interest of time, as our time is wrapping up to go to the floor here, I've heard that we need to establish the why behind our technology choices and our strategies, with the cost-benefit analysis being the economic mechanism behind the why. We've talked about when business leaders identify certain things in order to adopt a new technology or make changes, how those ideas can be circulated through the team, whether it's top-down or middle or bottom-up. We talked briefly about maybe the ethics around some of the productivity changes, and then finally the problems with integrating new technologies. I would welcome questions from the floor for our panelists on the topic of change, technology, and business growth. There's got to be a first one. Oh, we've got a volunteer.
Hi, my name is Edison Bako. I'm with the European Business Chamber of Commerce, Eurocham. One question to each or one of your panelists here. In regards to applying or acquiring a certain technology or software, Does it really matter for you if it's a foreign made or a locally bred or inspired technology or software as a consideration for you to purchase? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Pak Edison, for your questions. So the question will be whether it's matter to you when you use the local one or use the international one, right? I guess the answer should be coming from two things, right? The first one is regarding what are the needs itself. For instance, like when we try to implement kind of like tools, for instance, like Asana, especially in a bank or in any kind of like financial services industry, it's nice to use it, right? Because like it's internationally made and everything is already there, everything is like proven, right? But again, the second hurdles coming from on the financial, on the regulatory basis, right? Because like we are in the financial service and some of the data is like heavily regulated. Some of them is we need to check whether it's allowed by the OJK or not, whether this data is hosted on premise or this data is hosted overseas, right? So those are the things that currently we're still working on with some of the procurement team, whether we can use this and what are information that we can place in the tools moving forward. So I guess that's my take on the other questions.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I think it's like this is about the security actually. Like, of course, like a lot of platform in Indonesia, they have like massive number. Also, they have great technology, and then also like from technology from overseas also is like huge as well. But my concern is more about like because right now is the issue is about the security of data. So like this is the most important thing, and I think it's like doesn't matter. This is the technology from like the create by local or create by international, because I think it's like a lot of product from local also is like getting better right now. It's a great product. A lot of the local is create a great product, but the most important is like we need to be due diligent and analyze before we use that technology. Like we need to check every details for the technology, because I think for my understanding most of the, like everyone now talking about the AI and startup or something like that, but as you know, like in the banking system and startup system and everything, all like we know our data is not really safe, Like every single day I get call from someone called, hey, Mr. Aji, do you need kind of insurance, any kind of, do you need some loan, do you need some, so like, basically our data is already, I don't know, it's like how someone call me many times and it's like, I think it's like very important call, and it's like, oh yes, sorry, we are from this, that, and this is, I think we need to concern about that. So for me, it's the most important things, like any kind of the product, local or international, but the most important things, we need to be aware, like our data, like personal data, information, not share to the others, something like that. This is for me.
Yeah, for me, the origin is not big matters, from the foreign or from the local, but it can also hybrid, created by the foreign product, but developed by our local partner. But our concern is about the suitability. Can it be used in Indonesia? Understand the local wise, and etc. That's it.
I might want to take it from another angle because I'm an investor as well in many SaaS companies in Indonesia. So I'm an investor in Journal, in Contact, which now becomes part of Makari. And every time I meet with software developers in Indonesia, especially SaaS, I always tell them that you're competing not just with Indonesian companies, but you're also competing with global companies that have more resources, that have more technology advantage. So I think as a local company, we need to embrace competition. We need to understand that our competitors are not just the local competitors, because in the end it's about price, right? Especially if you're doing SaaS for enterprise software, it's really about price in the end. Security matters as well. So I think from the perspective of investors in a technology sectors, I'm also an investor in BVT, by the way, so it's a bit biased.
Full disclosure.
I have to disclose it right now. So it really matters on the founder knowing that the competitive landscape is not just local, but also from abroad. For example, let's say Journal. Journal is a very strong accounting system in Indonesia, but they're also competing with Xero from abroad. Some of my startup investment also use Xero. They're not using Journal. Why? Maybe because it's easier to use. I don't know, cheaper maybe. But I think as a local software, we need to think about how can we outcompete the foreign. For example, let's say if we understand the regulation better, maybe like a tax solution, because like tax solution, maybe you need some localization. If as a local software, you can outcompete the foreign because of your understanding of local needs, then you can solve a lot of problems. But if you're just copying what's available out there, what's available in the US, and there is no localization, there is no advantage of being a local, maybe like customer support. If your customer support can speak Indonesian, maybe it's better. You can outcompete someone who outsourced the support from, let's say, India. So I think in terms of customer support, maybe you can outcompete them. Maybe you can solve problems faster than them, because whenever you call the customer support, it's the same time zone. So I think as a local company, doesn't mean that you have to be better in terms of the technology, but sometimes maybe even support is enough.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your question, Edison. And one more question from the audience as well. We have 3 minutes.
Sorry, boss, I just wanted to, what I said is correct, but I mean, we hear constantly from the government that they want to use local where possible, right? That's actually why I came here, because a couple of ministers told me it was a great idea, because local. We've had the people in our office checking what's local and what's not, and that procedure, Jessica over there has been dealing with it, but it was great fun. So we've gone through all the process of proving local. I mean, I understand that there's always pushback, but look at China. 20 years ago, China just had American cars. If you've been to China recently, you don't see an American car. You go to Vietnam, Indonesia is always talking about EV. You go to Vietnam, I would say 30% of the cars are now VinFast. So what I see often here, people said, oh, we can't do this, they can't do this. Indonesia will be the biggest country in the world without any of its own brands. I think it is already by a long way. So I think saying we can't do this, so I think long term, I mean, you're going to have to do it, because if you want to get away from just being the natural resources, the consumer, I know it's much easier, partnering with the foreign brands, but you don't get to be a huge economy by having none of your own brands. And at some point, I'm having a go, but I'm going to need more support, because at the end of the day, you need your own brands at some point. We taking our software to Vietnam and Japan, saying we're from Indonesia, people think we're crazy, because that doesn't really happen, right? But it's going to have to happen for this economy as a whole, because you can't just keep on having apps or saying we can't compete with foreign software, because Therefore, you can't compete with foreign cars, you can't compete with this. Where does the value come for lifting the GDP? Because the GDP will be lifted by technology, per capita I mean. The GDP here, everyone pumps the number out, but it doesn't matter. The GDP per capita is still less than $5,000. The way you double the GDP per capita is through technology. And the only way you're gonna have to have at some point your own brands and take on and say, yeah, we can win. Because at the end of the day, Vietnam are winning in cars now in their own country. And I hear all this, people here investing heavily, VCs investing in motorbike companies, and have I seen one Indonesian motorbike from an Indonesian company on the roads, despite the constant fundraising talk? I haven't. So I think that at some point, the government here has to really tackle you need your own products. And I even talked to the guys from Metrodata. They really want to get into principle. They aren't at the moment, right? And I talked to them, why, you guys can do it, you're a big player. But they also think it's easier to import. It's an easier business model. So, just my point on, there needs to be local at some point,
Would anyone like to briefly provide their thoughts on that subject about perhaps the local content regulations and the strength of enforcement or anything of that nature? I think please. Time is up. So I will invite BVT CEO Min Tun to the stage to show our appreciation for the panelists here today. Saved by the bell.
And also, I want to invite Martin to join on the stage for a group photo. Martin, hello. Martin? Please join on the stage for a group photo. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's give a round of applause to all of you here for joining us today. Okay, thank you for your enthusiasm and participating in BVT Tech Summit 2024, Mapping the World, a Journey into Sustainable Growth. Okay. To end our event today, Min Tun, as the CEO of Bumi Varta Technology, will deliver the closing speech. So once again, the time is yours, Min Tun.
Good morning, guys. Did you find it useful? I did. So thank you very much for coming and joining us and giving us your time. So today we spoke about 3 different topics, which is ubiquitous to all of us, right? The business landscape and data as a new oil, and how do businesses sustain and grow by leveraging technology. So I will not try and summarize the business landscape. I think a lot of you in this room are very well aware. But I would like to summarize and close it by giving us a little bit of insights on sustainably building the businesses by leveraging technology, right? And specifically into AI. Because a lot of people, we've heard a lot about employees worrying about the job losses, et cetera, et cetera. And also, I think a lot of the people still might not be too clear on the methodologies or the technologies that are available in AI. So predominantly there are 2, right? One of them is AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, right? And then we have GAI, generative artificial intelligence. So all these tools like Copilot, ChatGPT, all of that are not in the bucket of AGI. AGI is something that we are striving to be more sentient, more human-like. Where generative AI is more on, in a layman's term, is data retrieval, effectively, right? And we don't really need to worry about AI taking our jobs, because the AI engines that we have today have already peaked in consuming public data sets. So that's already peaked out. At the same time, our human eyes can take in and process every second 50 gigabytes of data. But where we fail, well not fail, but where we are slow, is in processing and retrieving the data, right? And obviously along with that is your comparative analysis and giving you the analytics to make your decision. So AI is something that has been around since I was in school. That is 1991, right? And 3 things in the recent decades that have enabled AI is the speed of communication and the speed of processing and ever lowering cost of storage. But Nokia was referring to the first ever computer in 1986, and I was 10 years old. I had a Commodore and Motorola 8086 with 8-inch floppy disk. He had a better computer. Mine was 64 kilobits. He had 128 kilobits. So, we've come from that. So, and we are also in BVT implementing Copilot, right? So we've already identified business processes and areas in which we want to implement quite deeply. And like Martin was saying, we have been applying machine learning for as long as BVT is existing. But of course, these were in pockets of development. But now with the development of, I'm not suggesting Copilot is better than Gemini, it's not. It's just that we are on Microsoft ecosystem, with Jira integration, Power BI, and obviously everyone in this room use Word, Excel, PowerPoint, et cetera, so it's just easier integration. One of the biggest challenges that I actually have, because I deal with the day-to-day business and Martin deals with communicating with the outside world, is changing and shifting mindset of, like Arya was saying, we have to, from the management and the board level, define philosophy, define culture, and ensuring that these philosophy and culture are permeated through the organization. And then we have to enable them and make them feel and make them a part of the process. Make them, i.e. us, employees, employers, all of that, everybody, right? Because we can't have an organization that is going, one department is so good and the other one is bad. Then, you know, as we all know, we are only as good as our weakest player, right? So it is a fundamental mindset change. And like I will quote again to what Arya was saying, it's the benefits are going to be different to the audience, right? Shareholders benefit from leveraging tools and implementing technologies and stuff like that. Is the overall return on investment could be faster. They can optimize and mitigate unnecessary hiring or improve efficiencies and things like that. But at the same time, when it comes to employee level, that story needs to be curated and changed a bit. Because then we have to tell them, hey, look, if you are doing, for example, we in BVT use story point system. So every employee, including me and Martin, have to have X number of story points every week, right? So right now we are running at whatever the efficiency is. And one of the messaging is we tell them, hey, if you complete your story point, that will allow you to have more time to do your self-studying, for example. If somebody wants to learn a new programming language, or somebody wants to go up to our library and kick back and read a book, not a problem. So we are providing these tools for them to be more effective, more efficient, but not to take them away or not to take their jobs away. So that sort of messaging is quite crucial. And it is a work in progress, right? So there's no destination, you know, what is a digital transformation and change management? It is everything to everybody. And everyone is different, right? Depending on what lens you are using to look at. So yeah, and the other thing about these free ChatGPT tools, I have shared it with some other events. I would like you to remember that if you are using the free version of ChatGPT or any other AI tools, please do not put in your private and confidential information. Because when you do, whatever information that you put into the free version of AI tool will be recorded in the publicly available data set. So there have now been a few incidents in globally actually, where some employees were putting in, whether they are trying the system out or being whatever, they've inserted and inputted some confidential information of their company they are working for, and then these have now led to data breach. Right, so that's unintentional, accidental problem, but problem nonetheless, and problem that we can live without. So yeah, as long as AGI, artificial general intelligence, is a long way to go, yeah, because it's not sentient, we're okay. Because, like I say, the data set, that the enriching of the data, as we are sitting here in the last 5 minutes as I've been talking, all of us probably already processed about 1 terabyte. And that is not easily transferred into the public data set. So AI as a tool will always be one step behind in being knowledgeable, but in processing it, well, that's a different story, right? So we just need to find, change, look at the same thing differently, and then build the story around individual users, individual stakeholders to embrace the technology, because eventually it is going to help us all, right? So we don't need to get too much time spent doing the mundane stuff where the tool can do it for you, right? So with that, I would like to thank you once again for coming, and I think we can call it a successful event today, and have a great day. Thank you very much.
Thank you once again to our esteemed speakers, moderators, and organizers for making this event a resounding success. And it's been my honor to be your host today, and see you on the next BVT Tech Summit.